Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is, of course, WGK's Public Safety Images. Today I want to address a question that I do get periodically from people who are getting into photography, and especially once they know that I'm a fan of the Fujifilm equipment, and that is, do you use the Fujifilm sims? So without any further ado, let's talk all about Fujifilm simulations.
Battalion 2, engines, 35, 40, 34, and 27, ladder 40, and safety 1, house fire, 3312 Ashley Keene Drive, Hungary, Charlotte.
Welcome to WGK Public Safety Images. I am a public safety photographer in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, and this is my channel, and I use it to post response videos. I also post videos that are all about different departments, companies, equipment, things like that. And then I also post Q&A videos where I try and answer questions that I frequently get as a public safety photographer. I would just ask that you like and subscribe, but otherwise, let's get on to the video. So the logical starting place when talking about Fujifilm simulations is, what exactly is a Fujifilm simulation? Essentially, and in a very oversimplified manner, film simulations are kind of Fuji's versions for what a lot of digital camera manufacturers do when they create color profiles, recipes, or designs for their cameras so that when you get a JPEG straight out of the camera, it looks like a good finished photograph. As I've mentioned in other videos, if you just look at a raw file, when it comes out of the camera, they tend to look a little dull and flat. And in fact, raw files aren't true image files, and they're not like JPEGs that are sort of standardized so that when you you view it on your computer, they all look the same. Raw files will look different depending on what software you even use to view the raw file. Remember, your raw file is essentially the digital negative, and it's just all of the information that your camera captured when taking that photograph. This means if you're just shooting raw files, you're going to need some software to go in and do some processing and convert them into some type of standardized image file like a JPEG or a TIFF file or something like that. The camera manufacturers quickly realized not everyone wanted to process the raw files into suitable JPEG or TIFF images. So the manufacturers have created color profiles, which is essentially in-camera processing, which takes all that information and converts it into a standard image file, typically a JPEG. And in fact, most camera manufacturers now have multiple color profiles available in their cameras. These color profiles are really helpful for photographers, especially those who don't like processing raw images, and admittedly, it can be a little bit of a time-consuming and tedious process. So using the built-in color profiles, you can download great-looking images right from your digital camera. For Fuji, they have taken it a step farther in that they have created color profiles that try and emulate some of their old film profiles, or the look of film that Fuji has produced over the years. Almost as soon as Fuji began building and selling digital cameras, they began including these film simulations in those cameras. Today, Fuji has about 20 different film simulations available in different cameras that they manufacture. So I wanted to give you a little demo of what each of the film sims look like. And I'll start out with this picture I have of Concord Fire Department's engine number 3. And this is how I end up with its final processing. So this is what you would typically see, something that I have posted. So what I've done is I've taken this photo and then using Capture One, I didn't actually use the in-camera film sims. Capture One allows you to apply the film sim to the RAW. It's kind of a simulation of the simulation, but you'll get the general idea. So again, this is the finished product. And as I mentioned, this is a RAW file. And you can tell it looks a little flatter and a little dull. So to demonstrate each of these, I'll just run through the film sims as they show up in my XS10 and give you the description that the camera provides. So the first one is Provia, and Provia is their standard film sim. If you don't apply any of the film sims, this is what you're going to get. And this is something that Fujifilm says is ideal for a wide range of subjects. The next film sim is Velvia Vivid, and it's a little more vibrant, and again, good for landscape or nature videos or photos. Then they have Astia Soft, and this one's a little softer, a little less contrast, and this would be a more subdued look and might be good for portraits or something to that effect. The next film sim is Classic Chrome. Again, soft color, enhanced shadow contrast, and starts to look like some of the old classic Fujifilm negative images. After Classic Chrome, we have Pro Neg High, and there's also a Pro Neg Negative Standard. The High is good for portraits with a slightly enhanced contrast. The Standard, more neutral density. It's a good one to start with if you're going to go and edit your JPEGs down the road. Next, there's Classic Negative, an enhanced color with hard tonality to increase image depth. Then there's Eterna, which is they refer to one of their cinema film simulations. Soft color, rich shadow tones, give it kind of the movie look. If you've ever seen the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, that's the Eterna film sim look. Then there's Eterna Bleach Bypass, and that refers to a development method that was around that actually used bleach in the process, and you can see it's, again, low saturation, looks a little more washed out, high contrast. Still good for stills or movie, but a very distinctive look. I guess you have to really like that one. Acros, that's a black and white, a lot of details and sharpness. So again, if you want to shoot just regular black and white. There's also monochrome, which is another version of black and white. And then there's sepia, which shoots in the sepia tone. And the best way to describe this is if you've ever seen an old wanted poster, right? It's got that yellowy, brownish tinge to it, that sepia tone. So those are just the base film sims. Several of them, including the monochrome, the black and white ones, have the ability to add a color filter, one of the primary color filters, so you can change that look. And the way film sims are set up with Fuji is you can change them yourself. You can start with a baseline film simulation, and then you can change it and edit it so you get the final look that you like with a particular film simulation. Accessing the different film sims in your Fuji camera is pretty straightforward. This is the menu for my XS10, and if you go to the IQ, the image quality menu, you'll see down about halfway down, you will see the film simulation. You can go in there and use the joystick and just toggle through the different film sims. Again, important to remember the film sims are only going to affect your JPEG output, not your RAW files. So you have to be shooting in RAW plus JPEG or just JPEG. As you continue through those menus, you'll see there are some other adjustments you can make. And in fact, when you get to the second page, there's a couple others where you can change the color, the tone curve, the sharpness, and the clarity. And I will admit that when I'm photographing fire apparatus, I like them to be really sharp and really clear, so I typically bump up the clarity and the sharpness of my images. For example, this is Charlotte's Rescue 11. This is it looking at just the raw file, and this is what I would typically finish with. The big issue I have with using the in-camera adjustments is using or setting or increasing the clarity of the images. Once you start to bump that up, it's going to really start to slow down the camera. And I mean really slow it down. Just bumping up the clarity 1 or 2 will make the camera take 2 to 3 to 4 seconds from when you depress the shutter to when it loads to the card. And you're just sitting there looking at a little spinning dial. You can't take another photo. For a lot of what I'm doing, that's simply not going to be sufficient. I want to be able to take pictures almost as fast as I can depress the shutter. That means for me, if I want to increase the clarity of my images, I really need to do it in post. And if I'm going to be doing it in post, suddenly applying the rest of the settings and the different film simulations in the camera becomes a little unnecessary. So by shooting just raw, one, I'm not taking up as much room on my SD card, but it also allows me to go in and change the clarity and the sharpness and all the other things that I might want to adjust in Capture One down the road, when I'm sitting at home processing it. And like I said previously, Lightroom or Capture One will allow you to apply the film sims to the raw file in post and gives you a lot more flexibility in how and how much you're going to apply each of those adjustments. One other thought I have on using the film sims in the Fujifilm cameras is, again, most of them are designed to emulate old Fujifilm film. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure exactly why people want to do that. I understand there's a great sort of revival or renaissance, and people seem to think longingly of the days when we shot nothing but film, and the film choice was what decided how your final images were going to come out. I like to think we've advanced past that. We have digital imaging. I don't need to shoot film. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want my images looking like they were shot on film in 1980. Again, it's kind of a cool look. Here again is Charlotte's Rescue 11, and I'll just run through the sims, and you can see that, yeah, there's some cool looks, but again, I'm not sure why I'm trying to create that. I'll stick with what my original image output was, this one. Now, I understand there are some folks who really like the film sims, and there's a whole large community out there. There's Facebook groups and people creating their own and sharing them. Just seems a little unnecessary. Again, I don't know that I want all my photos to come out looking the same. I might be photographing at night, and then the next day I'm photographing apparatus, and then when I'm taking pictures of the cruise, I want them all to have a slightly different look. And so doing it in post-processing using Capture One or Lightroom is kind of the easiest, most direct way for me to get the results that I'm looking for. Once again, I'll apologize to all the film sim fans out there. I'm sure someone will chime in and tell me how wrong I am, but that's just how I feel. They seem to be a little unnecessary, in my opinion. So there you go. Quick overview of the simulations, what they can do, what they don't do, what I like about them and what I don't like about them. Hopefully you found the video interesting or entertaining. I would ask that if you have any questions, any comments, or any thoughts, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below. Otherwise, if you like the video, consider giving it the old thumbs up and maybe subscribing to the channel. Otherwise, we'll just see you again in the next video. Thanks. Bye.